You know when you hit play on a huge live sporting event and it just works for you and for millions of other people at the exact same second? Well, that's not magic. The secret is a huge shift in how these systems are built. And we're about to break down that journey from old school monoliths to the powerful microservice architectures that run the show today. Now, just to set the stage, this is part 10 of our deep dive into the How Streaming Services Work report by Virtualization Options LLC. We're zeroing in on Chapter 10, which covers the cloud native patterns that, frankly, you absolutely have to know if you're an IT pro working in this space. So, here's what we're going to cover. We'll kick things off with why the old monolith way of doing things just doesn't cut it anymore. Then we'll jump right into the microservices architecture, talk about all the awesome benefits, see how it works in the real world with the hybrid cloud model, and wrap it all up with why this is so important. Okay, let's dive right in. We have to start with the fundamental problem here. Why did the way we used to build these massive systems just completely stop working? I mean, this is the million-dollar question, right? Or maybe the multi-million user question. Seriously, think about it. How on earth do you serve millions of people all at the same time from just one single system? We're talking about everyone expecting a perfect, buffer-free stream. How can one giant piece of software handle that insane pressure without just falling over? Well, the simple answer is you can't. It's just not possible. The report we're looking at puts it bluntly. Trying to do this with old-school centralized servers is, and I'm quoting here, prohibitively expensive and technically infeasible. It's like trying to fit an ocean into a bucket. The whole model just breaks. So if that giant all-in-one approach is a dead end, what's the alternative? Well, that brings us to our next section, the microservices architecture. And let me tell you, this isn't just a small tweak. It is a completely different way of thinking about building software. Okay, so what are we actually talking about here? In a nutshell, a microservices architecture takes one massive application, the monolith, and breaks it down into a bunch of smaller independent services. It's kind of like instead of one giant factory building an entire car from start to finish, you have specialized shops. One shop just makes the engines, another just does the paint, and another handles the seats. They're all separate, but they talk to each other to get the final car built. And this is where the magic really happens. For one, you can scale each part independently. So if tons of people are watching and your video service is getting slammed, you can spin up more resources for just that one service without touching anything else. Then there's the tech side. Your teams can pick the absolute best tool for their specific job. You're not locked into one stack for everything. And maybe the biggest win of all, failures are isolated. If the recommended video service has a problem, it doesn't crash the entire platform. The main video you're watching keeps on playing. And this really helps paint a picture of how it all works together. You can see all these different specialized servers. They're constantly talking to each other, all working in concert to deliver a single stream to a single user. It's less like one giant clunky robot trying to do everything, and more like a highly coordinated team of specialists. It's a dance, really. Okay, so we get what it is and kind of how it works, but why go through all this trouble? That's what we'll get into next, the key benefits of this whole cloud-native approach. And the advantages are pretty huge. Let's just run through them. First, improved scalability. We've touched on that. Second, enhanced resilience. If one piece breaks, the whole ship doesn't sink. Third, you get way faster deployments. Small independent teams can push updates to their own service constantly. And finally, it's just way more efficient. You're not paying for a giant server to be mostly idle. You're only scaling up the parts that are actually busy. Right, so that all sounds great on paper. But what are the big players actually doing in the real world? That's what this next section is all about, the hybrid cloud model. This is where the rubber really meets the road. I love this quote from the report because it's so telling. It points out how companies like Twitch and Netflix have this really smart hybrid approach. See, they use the big public clouds like AWS for all the general stuff, things that need to scale up and down like crazy. But, and this is the key, for their absolute core secret sauce functions like super fast video delivery, they build and run their own specialized gear. That's what gives them their competitive edge. So you can really break their strategy down into two buckets. On one hand, you've got the public cloud. That's your workhorse for handling unpredictable traffic and general computing needs. You basically rent that power. But on the other hand, you have your own specialized infrastructure. This is the custom-built, high-performance stuff that does the one thing you need to be the absolute best at. It's about using the right tool for the right job, and you get the best of both worlds. Okay, so let's pull all this together. Why does any of this actually matter? What's the big picture takeaway for those of us in the IT world?
Here's the bottom line, plain and simple. If your job involves building, designing, or even just maintaining a modern streaming system, this stuff isn't nice to know anymore. It is absolutely need to know. Understanding these cloud-native patterns is just how resilient, scalable services are built today. End of story.
And that leaves us with this kind of fascinating thought to chew on. It's a real paradox when you stop and think about it. As these incredible systems get bigger and more complex, it turns out the most effective way to keep them stable and running is to strategically break them into smaller and smaller pieces. It seems that in the world of massive scale architecture, sometimes the only way to hold everything together is to first pull it all apart.